Today's episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast is brought to you by Poor Richard's Cafe, TechSense Senior Residential Care Homes, ATD Painting, and Performance Food Group. Poor Richard's Cafe, Plano's oldest restaurant since 1973. They are open daily from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., serving the three most important meals of the day: breakfast, lunch, and dessert. It is true Texas home-style cooking made with love and grit. That is Poor Richard's Cafe, located off of Avenue K in Plano. This podcast is also brought to you by TechSense Senior Residential Care Homes, senior care at its best with a family atmosphere. They specialize in making their facilities as close to a home living experience as possible. Not only that, there are no move-in fees and there are no visitation restrictions. They are located near I-635 in Marsh Lane in Dallas, right near Carrollton. For more information, you can call 469-400-7650. That is TechSense Senior Residential Care Homes. And now, let's podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast. My name is Matt Welch. I'm the sports editor at Star Local Media, and I am being joined by Justin Thomas and Taylor Ragland. And gentlemen, let's look back on the previous week of high school football. 7 weeks are in the books. Plenty of fascinating stuff developed within the last week or so, so let's touch on some of the major storylines that emerged after week 7. For this first part, Justin, we're going to kind of turn the floor over to you to make sense of just what is turning out to be one of the more unpredictable districts that we have in our coverage area. District 668. Man, I'm not even sure where to start with this one.
I don't think we're going to make sense of it, but we can talk about it a little bit.
We can try our best. Try our best just to make heads and tails of this district that has been as up and down, topsy-turvy as any district that we've had in recent memory. I mean, when you look over those district standings, what is the first thing that jumps out at you?
I guess for starters, so we got Flower Mound alone in first at 3-0. And then we have a four-way tie for second at 2-1 between Coppell, Marcus, Hebron, and Louisville. Irving Mack is sitting in sixth at 1-2, and then tied for seventh, Irving and Nimitz at 0-3. So I really don't know what to think about this district. You know, when we came in here in August, I was thinking it was a two-team race for the top spot, kind of between Coppell and Hebron, and then kind of a three-team race for those next two spots between Flower Mound, Marcus, and Louisville. Then we come in here after non-district and we say, hey, these Irving schools aren't as bad as we thought. Maybe they could kind of throw a wrench in this. Now, I don't know. Now instead of two at the top and three, let's just say looks like there's 5 teams for 4 spots. Maybe Irving and MacArthur could play spoiler, but they're going to have to get hot to actually get in the playoffs. And Irving, Nimitz, and Irving are kind of bringing up the rear. Yeah. I mean, you just saw Nimitz.
Pretty bad beast for Nimitz, man.
Yeah, no, Nimitz isn't
0-3.
That's a salty 0-3, I'd say. Yeah. I mean, that team should have beat Marcus.
They should have beat Marcus, as you said. You were covering that game, but then they got absolutely drilled 53-8 by Flower Mound on Thursday. So yes, right now Flower Mound is 3-0. They're atop the district heap. They haven't faced the toughest slate compared to other teams with their big win coming over Louisville and their crazy comeback.
But that was a game that was plenty losable in its own right.
They came back and got it, so they're 3-0, and they have a game against Hebron this week where if they beat Hebron, they'll be 4-0. They'll have already beat Hebron and Louisville. Like, that's basically, you never know what's going to happen, but I would think 4 wins is going to be good enough to get in the playoffs probably.
Yeah. I would think so.
So I would, they can pick up a win at home against Hebron this week and basically be in the playoffs, and I thought they were going to be fighting for it. So that Louisville win is really, really looking big for them right now. Then you look at Louisville, they lose that game. They're up 20. They give it away, and you're saying, oh, come on, Louisville, this is supposed to be your year. And then they turn around and shot Coppell 13-6.
It definitely speaks to the statement that you were making beforehand about this Louisville defense being on just a completely
different level. They
do
look like they have a really good defense. Flower Mound's the only team that's put points on them, and they were shut out at halftime. And it took 2 possessions basically inside starting in the red zone to kind of get their offense rolling. But 6 points to Coppell, 10 points to Irving MacArthur, 21 to a Boyd team that's now looking like a playoff team out of 9-6A. That when they played, you weren't thinking too much of it, but now that's looking like a good result. This defense is playing really good, keeping Coppell out of the end zone completely last week. For trying to think of 2 years ago they put it on Marcus in the Axe game, but other than that, this has to be probably maybe the biggest win Louisville's had in 10 years maybe.
Interesting for Coppell too, man. I don't know what's going on. I mean, that game for Coppell this week is huge.
Yeah, huge. So Coppell and Marcus are going to get it on this week, and both of them are coming off losses, and both of them are in that four-way heap at 2-1. So whoever comes up short in that one's going to really have to
Gonna be struggling a
fight
little bit.
uphill. But yeah, I've mentioned I like that Louisville defense. They're playing good, and I've also kind of mentioned Coppell's kind of play to their opponent style, and that seems to be playing out so far again this season. They seem to struggle with teams you think they'll beat or beat convincingly, and then kind of turn around and play good against the better teams. So,
Right.
and then you got Hebron right there at 2-1 too, 2-1. Big, nice win over Marcus. I think it's kind of what you might expect from Hebron, I guess, right here.
So who do we like? These results have been just so unpredictable, and I'm just going back and looking. Like the Nimitz thing was like, because we had that was one of the games on the picket line last
Yeah.
week, and like I was actually kind of going back and forth and really
Yeah,
deliberating
for a
over
second,
Flower Mound
yeah.
versus Nimitz, just because of how well they played
Yeah.
Marcus, and then Flower Mound goes up and beats them 53-8.
Yeah, very impressive score there after, kind of worried about Flower Mound after Prosper drilled them on that
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
weather Friday, and they've come right out and win 3-0 in districts.
Are they starting to take care of the football a little bit better?
Yeah, they're definitely taking care of the ball a little more, so that's a positive. And I don't know, so maybe that quarterback switch to Jake Welch when Blake Short sat out the first half of that game against Louisville, and maybe that really did something mentally, because he's come back from that and looked like a totally different quarterback in those
Well,
2.5
yeah.
games since then.
I mean, even when I saw him, I thought their offense looked pretty good outside of turning the football over
Yeah.
so much. So I knew if they started taking care of the football and playing a little cleaner, they would be good on offense. I mean, they just have a ton of weapons and a really good passing game. So you figured if he could stop turning it over
Yeah.
and stop throwing interceptions, they'd have something, and maybe they do.
So this could be a 5-way tie for first. I don't know if that's logistically possible, but I don't see a whole lot separating all these teams. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
Who would you? I mean, is it fair to even ask who you think right now might have the inside track? Is it Flower Mound at 3-0 or whatnot, or who do you feel like is maybe best suited to maybe pull away from this pack when all's said and done?
Such a tough question.
As an outsider, I kind of like Hebron just because I feel like they've had some tough games and they've played well. I don't think they've ever really had a really, really down week, whereas all these other teams have had some pretty down efforts. I think Hebron's maybe been a little bit more consistent, and Flower Mound still has to go play some really good teams, I
Yeah,
think.
I'll have to look at the possible scenarios and see if there's a way that 5 teams could get to 4 wins and
Yeah.
tie for first. But
For your sake, I hope there isn't a way. that
it'd be
tiebreaker's not
pretty
going to be fun
though.
to sort out.
It would be fun, but it's really tough to pick a favorite, and these teams all seem pretty close, and I'm gonna stick with my preseason predictions.
Okay.
All
Which
right.
were just to reaffirm
Hold
those,
fast.
reiterate those.
I had Coppell, Hebron,
Interesting.
Louisville, or Flower Mound and Louisville, and then I had Marcus as the odd man out. Then I changed them before the district, and I had Flower Mound as the team out.
I don't know if that happens at this point. I think Flower Mound's got some important wins, like
Well,
you said.
if they beat MacArthur, that's the last game of the season. So they could lose 3 in a row, beat MacArthur, and still get to 4.
Still get to 4 wins.
So I'll have to crunch the numbers and see if there's a way a 4-win team could miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
It feels likely that we're going to have to invoke some sort of tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Or something
Yeah,
like
I
It
this.
just has it written all over it.
I
for
can't
sure.
see this just being 4 clean teams.
It feels like 7-5A Division II a little bit, where we're just already gearing up for some crazy scenario at the end between a couple teams, if not in your case 3 or 4. Who knows?
Something that'll be very telling about this game coming up for Coppell Friday against Marcus. Marcus's defense, certainly has
Yeah.
the capability to slow teams down and force turnovers, especially. And I'm just looking at just the recent, the past month for Coppell's offense. You have 6 points against Louisville, 16 against Hebron.
Yeah.
28 against MacArthur, but
Yeah.
and then they were shut out in the half that they were able to play against Allen. So it's definitely I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm almost kind of in line with Taylor in that I think that with what Hebron's shown on
Yeah.
both sides of the ball, their ceiling appears to be right now just a little bit higher.
I think they've
I
had
would-
a tougher slate so far for sure.
I
Even
can
though
see that, but Coppell does already
they do have the head-to-head. I know.
on
Yeah.
Hebron, so
And that goofy that goofy finish.
3-block game.
Man, I've still lost sleep over that one.
So yeah, that is a look at District 6A. Who knows how this thing is going to turn out?
It's
Nobody.
gonna be crazy.
Nobody.
But I just would say nobody's breathing easy. Even Flower Mound at 3-0.
Oh, no way.
No.
They
Flower
can't-
Mound's
they
got to
can't
be the
sit
most
back-
uncomfortable
they can't
3-0
sit back
in the area.
Yeah.
Not that they don't deserve to be 3-0, but just with who they have left and how crazy it
because
is, they got to be so
they have a
uncomfortable.
3-game little mini gauntlet here where they have to go. They bring Hebron at home, but then they have to go to Marcus and to Coppell.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously in this district, it's looking like
It reminds me
every
a lot
game is
of
winnable.
It reminds me a lot of Lovejoy, who got to start district with a very easy schedule, and now is having the toughest second half by far, and is gonna learn a lot about itself. I think, especially how they rebound from that loss last week. I think Flower Mound's kind of in a similar boat. Just they definitely had not an easy first half, but easier. So I mean, who knows?
Still plenty to learn about the remainder of District 6-6A. Plenty to learn about for District 9-6A, and that'll actually be the focus on the back end of the podcast. And just to kind of segue into that, our student-athlete spotlight actually shines down on McKinney this week. Lions picked up their first win of the season, a 17-7 victory over Plano. One of the players instrumental in that effort was defensive back Andrew Pitts. Kendrick Johnson had a chance to swing by campus and talk with Andrew on their big win in his season thus far, and we will see what Andrew Pitts had to say after a word from this sponsor.
Let's take a quick break to talk about ATD Painting. Whether it's painting, staining, carpentry, residential, commercial, interior, exterior, ATD Painting has you covered. They have 4 locations in the Metroplex, including Plano and Louisville. You can call 972-694-8888 for more information, or you can visit their website at atdpainting.com. That is ATD Painting. Check it out to see just how affordable professional painting can be. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
Kendrick Johnson coming to you from McKinney this week with star cornerback Andrew Pitts. Andrew, give us some insight to just the team around after that big win against Plano.
It was good. Just going from losing, now winning our first game. It felt really good. The team was excited. Offense did great. Defense played well too.
How's it feel to be in a transitional class? Because you were the few people that know how it is. Y'all was made the playoffs when you were a sophomore. Y'all made it last year. You were a key contributor, and then this year you kind of like building the building block for the future. How's it kind of? Your class is like in a weird position.
We just gotta help the young kids, young teammates here get better, so then they can do better in the future.
So give us into the insight to the interception heard all around the DFW Metroplex on Friday. What did you see, and how did you make that play?
I saw the quarterback pull it from the running back, and I saw him just throw it up. And in my head, I was like, "That's mine. That's my ball. No one else is getting it." And I just jumped up and got it.
How many tweets and calls have you got about that play?
A lot.
Did you know it was when you saw it on film? Did you know it looked like that way when you did it, or just one of those things like you was in the moment and we saw like, wow, I did that?
It was in the moment, heat of the game, close game. Had to get a stop so we can get our offense out there.
What is it about Plano and McKinney? It seems like y'all got their number. That's 3 years in a row that y'all ain't got their number.
I don't know. We just outplayed them, played better than them.
So how much momentum do y'all have going forward for the rest of the season, and how do y'all build off that big win? Because we know y'all not trying to stop with that. Y'all trying to come at Plano West and add another dub to that total.
Yeah, we have a lot of momentum right now. Feeling this win helps us. Our offense is going to go do great on Friday. Watching film, we're just going to go out there and put on a show.
How much influence has Coach Shavers had that's got y'all playing at this level? Because even when y'all were losing, like the Allen game, people don't realize y'all played with Allen for a half. And it's like little bitty things. How much of those little bitty things add up to big things in the big picture now?
It helps us a lot. Coach Shavers has been really helping us, getting us through the losses and stuff, making us better, and it's really helping us.
How much different was it to come in here on Saturday after a win versus a loss? Like, what's some of the fun stuff that y'all did to celebrate that big win?
We did the same, but we just had awards and breakfast burritos.
That's a nice incentive.
Yeah.
So what's your mindset now going against Plano West this weekend?
Doing the same thing we did last week, going in there at their home, beating them, and coming back here and having fun.
And so is it great to be a McKinney Lion now?
Yeah.
And what do y'all have to do to keep improving? Because like each week y'all make improvement, so that's kind of hard to do for 10 straight weeks. But some way y'all find a way to do it. So how big a deal is to keep improving so that y'all at y'all best by the end of the year?
Just go out there 100% at practice every day and listen to the coaches.
Yeah, that's always key. What are you doing individually to stay involved? Since teams literally got the huddle footage on you. Oh, that Pitts kid, man, he had 6 picks, three pick sixes. We stayed away from him. So how you stay engaged and not get like caught slipping when they try to test you?
I just keep my mindset right just in case they do, and if they do, it's a bad experience for them.
Does it make you feel good the fact that you're now the leader? You went from being a youngster when I first met you to being the leader of the secondary, and how's that transition happen for you? Which you got these guys looking up to you now versus the other way around. When I first met you, you were a wild-eyed sophomore, man. Like I just want to get on that field and make a play. Now you the playmaker, and they looking at you.
Yeah, it feels good. I just gotta keep these youngsters up, keep improving them, keep doing my job. Hopefully they go out there and put on a show next year.
And final question, just sum up this whole season and what it's going to take to finish strong and finish the right way that y'all want to end this season.
Keep working hard, keep our mind on winning, and just go out there and play 100%.
Thanks again to Andrew Pitts of McKinney High School for chatting with Kendrick for our Student Athlete Spotlight. So let's round out this back half of the podcast with a look at, let's stick with McKinney ISD because what a big week for McKinney ISD. MISD went 3-0 and some nice little milestone accolades right along the way. Before we dive into 9-6A, let's take a look at one of the funkier scores that I'm sure we'll see all season. The anti-Mesquite versus Rockwall Heath, if you will. 90-32, McKinney North over Wiley East. Last Friday out at Wiley ISD Stadium. 90 points.
And they took a quarter off.
Yes, 90-32. This game was 0-0 after the first quarter. And then McKinney North decided just to hang your, good old, you see it all the time, good old 48-point second quarter.
Wiley East had them right where they wanted them after the first quarter, and then something happened.
I mean, I went through them and just to chart what happened in that second quarter. I mean, it's insanity that you can somehow squeeze 48 points from one team into a single quarter, but it is in fact possible now. We do know that can indeed happen. Basically, there were 13 drives in the second quarter alone. North forced 4 turnovers. I believe 2 picks and 2 East lost 2 fumbles as well, and then they scored 7 touchdowns, 4 passing touchdowns from Dylan Markowitz, 2 rushing touchdowns from Manny Fincher, 1 from Hunter Shea. Wiley East ran 19 plays and turned the ball over 4 times within that span. North only ran 23 and scored 7 touchdowns off of that. So a quarter that you will not likely see replicated.
Yeah, I'd like to know how long that
soon.
quarter actually took.
Oh man.
Yeah, apologies to whoever was on deadline for that game. For McKinney North's sake, this is now. I think they've shaken off the that was such a red herring that was thrown out there, that district opener with that loss to Sherman, and now to see the job that they've done bouncing back from that with wins over Texas High, a game that I think we all thought they were going to lose.
I took North.
Except for you.
Yep. I took the Bulldogs on that one.
You were a believer, so shout out to you. That's why you're in first place in the pick line. And now that they've taken care of a Wiley East team and done so by hanging, that has to be a program record.
That's got to be
It
up
has
there.
to be.
That's
Far
90
away.
points.
I know North can put up offense, but 90 points is...
You don't see that.
Yeah, that is unheard of. And they did so with, we just mentioned a couple of those running backs. They had 3 running backs in this game that had at least 148 yards rushing. Charles Grogan, Manny Fincher, and Hunter Shea. Dylan Markowitz, who's quarterbacking this one. Cam Constantine was, I guess, sidelined. He got he sustained a concussion against Sherman, and he didn't start the Texas High game. But Dylan Markowitz, 11 of 13, he threw for 4 touchdowns. What a performance from McKinney North. 90 points. That is That's some solid stuff, and they got a huge game coming up against West Mesquite and a potential playoff eliminator
Yep.
out of that district. So they found the win column on Friday night. We can talk about 9-6A now because this will kind of dictate the rest of the podcast. Shout out to McKinney High, man.
Yeah, man.
That was the game that I was at on Friday.
A de facto shutout.
Nope, the Lions were able to pick up their first win of the season, their first win under their new head coach, Marcus Shavers, and they did so against a team that you think of all the teams that McKinney was going to play this year, this would be the one team that kind of had that game circled on their schedule.
Yep.
Sure enough, they made it 3 consecutive wins over Plano Senior. They beat Plano 17-7. This was I was at this game. It was just a defensive struggle of the highest order. I mean, Plano only had 239 yards of offense. That was still like 120 more than what McKinney had.
Yeah.
I mean, this was basically McKinney playing. I mean, their defense was terrific. I mean, they were they were shutting down Plano's run game after Plano had a solid opening drive that unfortunately wound up ending in a missed field goal. Unfortunate for Plano that it turned out that way. But I mean, after that, I mean, Plano had absolutely no running room, and a lot of that was a testament to the front seven from McKinney. Andrew Pitts, who's the subject of our student athlete spotlight. He had a spectacular one-handed interception in the fourth quarter that went a good ways towards salting the game away.
Yep.
Plano was trying to cut into that deficit. McKinney never trailed in this game, and they pitched like you said, they almost pitched a shutout.
It basically was. They scored in like the last, with 48 seconds left or something like that?
They pitched more than 47 minutes of
Yeah.
shutout football. An impressive performance by McKinney's defense. Offense, again, neither offense was trying out for a beauty pageant on Friday,
Yeah.
but they did just enough. They were opportunistic. Plano had a rough time in special teams, and McKinney was able to capitalize on that. Shout out to McKinney High for getting that first win under head coach Marcus Shavers, and we'll see what they can do with that. I mean, who knows now? I mean, because you have to think of that. They get a chance now heading into a game against Plano West, where they're going to be just energized in a way
Yep.
that I don't think they would have been had Plano defeated them.
Nope.
So we'll see. Could get a potential nice little winning streak going for McKinney
Oh yeah.
High.
Well, and on the other side of the coin is Plano. Now, 1-2 in district and sitting down near the bottom and some tough sledding ahead for sure. Starting with this week. And I think the thing you have to be concerned about if you're a Plano fan is that the run game is just dried up.
Yeah.
And it's pretty unbelievable how ineffective it's been after the first couple of weeks they had on the ground. And that duo back there. I mean, you have Cody Christ and Kyron Cumby. You should be able to run the football on anybody, in theory, but it's just gone away.
They only had 121 rushing yards against McKinney. More than half of those came on the opening drive. So after that opening drive, they averaged just a shade over 2.5 yards per carry the rest of the game. And that's kind of been, it was one thing when it happened against Allen. That's Allen.
Allen, yeah.
They also had a tough time running the ball against Rowlett.
Yep.
They got back on track against Plano West, but West is going through some tough spots of its own right now. But this is now 3 of the last 4 games where they just have had a tough time establishing the run. And the fact of the matter is, when you're a run-first offense...
That's what Plano does, man. You got to be able to run the football.
The paths to victory, they shrink exponentially when you cannot impose your will on the ground. I mean, Plano's defense played lights out against McKinney. They said they held McKinney to 129 yards.
Yeah.
And that still wasn't enough. I mean, so the defense has been has been great. It was great against Rowlett. Allen, did what it did.
Allen's Allen.
Yeah, Allen's Allen.
I mean, to get into the other 9-6A story of the week, Allen is Allen.
Yeah, we don't have to compare anybody to Allen. That's not fair to the rest of the district. But yeah, with Plano right now, it's so they've had a tough time establishing the run game in recent weeks. Special teams was an issue, like I just mentioned earlier. They had 2 muffed punts. They they botched the snap on another punt. I mean, they've just and those both of those 2 special teams turnovers led to McKinney touchdown drives. So it's just a case right now where I don't know. You'd expect that, and earlier in the season they had issues with extra points. Even in their win against El Paso Eastwood, recovered. I want to say was it 3 or 4 onside kicks.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just
that was a strange one too. I mean, that game was just strange all over the place.
I mean, Plano's got a lot Plano has a bit to clean up, and I mean, fortunately, the schedule looking forward just isn't going to give them much margin for error because
not many chances.
I mean,
This is going to cost them a playoff spot.
I think that it will honestly.
I mean, you look. They have to play East, Jesuit, Boyd, and Prosper. It's the opposite of the Plano East schedule because Plano East, I think, with the current standings, gets 5, 6, 7, 8, and Plano gets literally. I don't know if it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's up there. I mean, they've already played Allen, but that you could argue that's the 4 best teams other than Allen. I think they are.
Jadon McCullough said after the game, because Plano did look just a little shell-shocked. I don't think for a second they thought that they were going to lose that game to McKinney.
And the way it happened,
just the effort that they put in. That was the focus of the bye week, was getting as much of a jump start on preparing for McKinney as possible, and then to have that performance. I don't think anybody in that locker room saw that coming,
or outside of it.
Coach McCullough said afterwards that he just he wants to see the team that played Hebron start of the year in their season opener.
That was 2 months ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the
I know.
thing. That team is good enough to make the playoffs out of this district. It's good enough to beat Boyd. It's good enough to beat Jesuit and maybe Prosper and whatnot.
Yep.
I mean, it's good enough to hang with just about anybody.
But
in
it's
this
going to
district.
take that now.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is that it just right now though? It's not the team.
Because I don't think you're going to beat Plano East. So then you have to run the table against Jesuit, Boyd, and Prosper, and the way those three teams have played. I mean, Jesuit's had a couple tight losses, but I mean that's a tall order to finish the year with 3 wins.
They're all
over
trending
those,
in a direction that Plano's not right now. And it's for a Plano team that we all thought at the start of the year was a consensus playoff team out of this district. They've it's there. They've got to recapture, and I think a lot of that it starts to being able to establish the run game. And we see it's not like Kyron Cummey just forgot how to bust big runs.
No,
but seeing this is now 2 straight weeks where it's just a lot of them is just the running lanes just flat out aren't there for them right now, and if they're not there for for Cody Chris, for Tylen Hines, who we didn't mention earlier, but another just huge big play threat that they have in the run game. There's enough firepower in that backfield, but they just have not been able to replicate the magic that they've shown these last few years, with having one of the top rushing offenses in the district.
Well, and like we said, it doesn't get any easier, especially this week going up against East, which if we're going to say that Allen is Allen, then if you're East, you just cross that one off and get ready for Plano and try to get back on track.
I'm anxious to see if they're able to do so, because that was There was a lot of hype. Partially, the media certainly had a hand in that. But again, at the end of the day, you always are aware that there is a scenario where Allen can just do things that just few other teams are capable. They have a ceiling that just few teams in the state can reach.
Well, and I think that I even made the point that this East team wasn't going to sneak up on Allen, and that the route to this result was the fact that Allen was taking this game very seriously and was out to. I mean, you'll never hear it from their mouths because that's not how they approach putting things out in the media, but I get the sense that Allen wanted to send a message and say that if we gear up for a game and we're not going to let you catch us by surprise, and we're going to play our game at home, we're going to beat you by, whatever.
We're going to double you up.
We're going to double you up, and we're not afraid to do it, and we're that good. And I think it is a symptom of Allen is just, one of the best teams. I mean, they're ranked number 1 in the state, and you can see why. I don't know if that means that, they're necessarily penciled in for a repeat, because there's some other really good programs in the state, but they are.
North Shore's number 2, and apparently just doing great things down in the Houston area.
But, I mean, in this district, it's, Allen is just overwhelming for anybody, and it was evident on Friday for sure when they handled East, because Allen it's just too much. I mean, they get the ball at the 45 nearly every possession. Their offense is ruthlessly efficient.
It's like clockwork.
Yeah,
just
they win the special teams battle.
Punt, good special teams return, and they just got short field.
And then anytime you make one mistake, because I even wrote, I think in my gamer and in my rapid reaction, that Plano East had 2 critical mistakes in the first half, and that's too many. Nope. And you're done.
It's death.
So I am very interested to see this week. Plano East is going to have, they love to play with a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to have a gigantic one walking around this week before the Plano game, and I think they're going to want to come out and make a statement. So be a prove-it game for both teams, for East to get back on track and for Plano to plug the holes in the ship, man. We'll see.
This was not the best of weeks for Plano ISD.
No.
All things considered.
Nope.
Whereas McKinney ISD went 3-0. Plano ISD did not. Far from it. They went 0-3, and they were, let's see, I had it somewhere. They were
outscored by a lot.
Yes.
Put it that way.
They were collectively outscored 143-56 in losses to teams that are a combined 9-9 on the season.
Yeah.
We've already
and a lot of that is Allen. I mean, Allen's 6-0. So that's the other scary part. I mean, teams are 9-9, and Allen's got 6 of those wins. So
we've talked about, we talked about Plano and just what they're kind of battling through right now. We can, show some love to McKinney Boyd because of just the how the Broncos have started to look like the team that I think there was. I know at least Kendrick was very high on them coming into the season. I'm pretty sure this is kind of what he had in mind.
Yeah, it seems like they're figuring it out at the right time.
Boyd
and
is,
that's all you can ask for.
Things have definitely clicked into place for them these last couple weeks in district. They had a tricky setback to Plano East, gave up a lot of points there, but I think the offense still showed enough. They moved the ball as well as any team had up to that point on Plano East.
Yep.
And they've now finally been able to convert that success into points. And that was kind of the issue with Boyd early on. Lots of yardage, not as many points. So just, not able to really execute on the red zone or just sustain drives once they got into enemy territory. But you look at these, these last 2 weeks, they were able to beat Jesuit, 35-28. And then they just laid the wood to Plano West, 52-13. And the thing about Boyd that has stuck out in recent weeks, we heading into the season, it was a lot of Theo Weiss is the best receiver in this district, but watch out for Jalen Anderson at Plano East. The number 2 receiver right now in District 9-6A is Kareem Coleman of McKinney Boyd, who once again made his presence known against Plano West. He had 5 catches for almost 140 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving and 1 on special teams. He was actually our All-Collin County second team returner last year for our All-Collin County football team. So he was, he definitely set the tone last year with his play on special teams, but he has emerged as perhaps you could make a case that this is like the preeminent big play receiver right now in the Metroplex. At least there's a case to be made. His numbers on the year so far: 16 catches, 495 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That is good for an average of almost 31 yards per catch.
That's a lot. I'm no math major, but that's pretty good.
Can you run those back again? 31 yards a catch?
Yes, 31 yards a catch. What does it down to that? Let me just pull up my Word document again. 16 catches, 495, and 4 touchdowns. Plus, he is, again, arguably the top returner on special teams in the district.
Yep.
I mean, he's in that 31 yards per catch. That is far and away the high mark of any of the top 25 ranked receivers in the Class 6A Metroplex.
Yeah.
So Kareem Coleman, man, is very almost like a Tyreek Hill vibe to him. With just just get the ball in his hands and just let him cook. And he put on a show against Plano West, which is now still in search of its first win. The opportunities to get that first win are dwindling by the minute. And sure enough, for Plano West, you look at the raw box score numbers. They're not bad or anything. I mean, they 318 yards of offense. I mean, you'll take that most nights.
Yep.
They were able to force 2 turnovers on defense. They actually gained 1 more first down than McKinney Boyd did, and they were down 31-6 at the half.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it's just
Struggling.
piling up the yardage, kind of like Boyd was earlier in the season, piling up the yardage, but they just don't have the points to show for it.
Yeah.
Taylor, you've been talking with head coach Scott Smith every week as he tries to, power through another difficult season out of the west side of Plano. I mean, just what is the mood right now as this West team is trying to do whatever it can to avoid a second consecutive 0-10 season?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think if you look at it, you have to. I mean, you look at the schedule the rest of the way. You have to try to beat McKinney this week if you're going to get your win.
Yes.
I think that's literally you have to have this one circled.
That is paramount.
Because you have Prosper, Plano East, and Allen to finish, and I don't think you win any of those games. I just don't. I think all those 3 teams are just too good. Not saying that anything's out of or anything's impossible. I mean, in Texas high school football, crazier things have happened. But I mean, you look at the 4 games left, and I think this is the one that you got to have. And it's strange because I think. Danny Davis is a great athlete. I think that he, especially as a junior, maybe even coming back next year, he has the potential to develop into, a pretty good quarterback if you can get the system going around him. But man, I don't know. I mean, confidence has been their whole thing this year. They believe they can win football games. I think that they believe that. I think that that's not just blowing smoke. I think they genuinely believe they're talented enough. But like you said, it just hasn't come together. And every year in a district like 9-6A, there's going to be somebody that even if you play decently, there's just so many good teams and so much talent in this district that, if you're not playing your best game or you just don't quite have the athletes or, you can't quite get your game plan going the way, because it seems like the 9-6A is a district where each and every matchup is about one team imposing the way they want to play the football game, almost. I mean, it seems like almost every week that's kind of what it comes down to when we talk about different matchups in this district, and Plano West just hasn't been able to do that. I mean, they haven't been able, in any of their games, they haven't been able to dictate, at least for a full, 4 quarters, the way they want to play the football game. And it's tough to win in 9-6A. It's tough to win in Texas if you can't do that. So
the close to their season, they get McKinney at home at Clark Stadium on Friday, and then they round out with games at Prosper, against East, and at Allen.
Yep.
The top 3 teams in the district. So this might be it for the Wolves. We'll see if it is a literal kitchen sink game on Friday.
I mean, it's got to be. I think it has to be, and I think that. I don't know. I mean, it's weird too because you had the quarterback competition coming in, and then there was a lot of talk about the two guys that didn't become the starter. Danny Davis always obviously named the starter would be big factors in the rest of the offense, and it was tough because they lost Greg Drawn beginning of the season to an injury. He missed a couple weeks. He's been working back pretty slowly. I mean, had 4 rushing attempts for 25 yards last week. Will Cannon, Scott Smith says every week pretty much that he's had a good week catching the football in practice. We're going to try to work him into the passing game, but that hasn't really materialized. Cole Carter, I think, has been their number 1 receiver, but he another 4 catches for 99 yards, a really big play threat, but it's not been enough to get him over the top, and it has to be this week. Some of that has to be enough to get them over McKinney, or like you said, we're probably looking at another.
Because they're getting a McKinney team that's coming in confident.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was what Coach Avery said after the game
was,
confidence was so key for McKinney as far as them being able just to cultivate that mindset where they came into this game. They came into Friday's game against Plano expecting to win, and it could have something to do with their recent history against Plano or whatnot. But it's definitely a team that appears to be at a bit of a different level mentally right now than a West team that is just looking for what.
I mean, it's tough because you talk about confidence, and I truly believe that they think they're talented. I don't want to ever say that a team is beat or thinks it's beaten, but at some point when you haven't won in, what is it now, 22 or 23 games?
These are just high school athletes.
You can't. That's going to get in your head to some extent. As much as you preach confidence, and it only takes one game to turn it around. That has to get in your head to some extent. I mean, there's guys on that team that have never won a football game. I mean, that's just a tough way to. That's a tough way to build some sort of winning attitude. So we'll see. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's never out of the realm of possibility, but it's going to be a tough one.
We'll see what's in store later this week. Big stakes all across Plano ISC as they look to right the ship later this week. And that will do it for this edition of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast. Go vote for our Game of the Week poll. It's up on the website, starlocalmedia.com. 5 very worthy selections this week. Some big games out in your neck of the woods as well, JT, out in Denton County. And that'll do it, folks. Justin, Taylor, appreciate y'all for swinging by. Folks, you enjoy the rest of your week. We will talk to y'all later.
Thanks for checking out this edition of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast, brought to you by Performance Food Group. Performance Food Group delivers more than 150,000 food and related products to customers all across the country. If you want to get in on that process, PFG just might have a spot for you. Their McKinney office is currently hiring. Job openings include Class A CDL drivers and warehouse order selectors, as well as many other entry and part-time positions. An ideal choice for college students or people just wanting to find new careers in general. For more information, you can visit their website at pfgc.com/careers for more job openings. If you prefer to contact them by phone, you can call at 214-491-3130 for more details. Once again, that is Performance Food Group, located in McKinney at 500 Metro Park Drive.